But we'll move on. Fernando Mendoza presser. First of all, again, I've said this before, but this team is so likable. Like Fernando Mendoza is such a likable person. The first question was asked by Zach Osterman, and he was like, basically, like, how much have you leaned on Alberto throughout this process? The first thing Fernando says is, first of all, very nice to meet you, Mr. Zach. Something like that. Like this guy's just incredible. What a guy. What a just a genuine human being. But he said it, leaning on like Alberto's been a tremendous resource. He said Alberto himself has been dicing up defenses early. He's looked great and he's helped him a lot on the little things. Pointing out a coverage or pointing out a read or something as he's coming off the field. And to have someone you're already that close to also have more knowledge about the thing you're trying to learn naturally is just going to help. Anyone who has a brother or any siblings knows that if you have a good relationship with them, that type of bond. And so that's really cool. Especially like personally, I have two brothers that I'm close with. So I kind of seeing like maybe imagining two of us in that scenario, like I can imagine how much we'd be helping each other. But then he also said that he's got like a tremendous relationship with Alberto, that they do everything together. They watch film together, they work out together, so I love having brothers on the team.
The brothers Mendoza. Love it. I mean, yeah, the brother dynamic. There's not much to be said there. I mean, it's everything we expected it to be.
They said one of the next questions was, you were sacked a lot last year. How was that?
Who asked that?
I forget, but that was basically the question. I was like, that's an odd question, but he's like,
no, it's funny because he knows he's not going to get sacked too much this year.
Yeah, I mean, well, he said he's got a great O-line this year, and this is where I got excited. Was he said, Coogan and Bray, Carter, Zen, Demola, and Austin as well were the names
Austin
he shouted
Barrett?
out.
Nice.
I don't know, isn't Liebfried also Austin?
I mean, those are the guys that I would think are like with Benson out. I mean, those are literally the top 6 guys that we have, right? Like, just looking at it, with considering Liebfried hurt his hand, that's about. I mean, you're on it with Demola. You're on it,
dude.
That was
Listen,
good. That was good. You might be master of the eye test for the O-line keys. You might be.
Hey, listen, you're looking at a right guard, freshman year right guard.
Hey, there we go.
5'6", $145. I was out leveraging people. You didn't want to see me in the trenches.
Oh yeah, love to see it.
I had good leg drive. If somebody can go find my freshman film, that'd be incredible. You see me driving some dude out like 10 yards, like, who is that? Like, that's the new guy. Yeah, I was like that. What's up? Yeah. No, but
pancakes for days.
Going back to Ajani, like there's just certain things you watch. Like I don't have access to film, like all 22 film or huddle film or any of that. So like I'm stuck watching highlights. And so what I like to do when I watch highlights is like, okay, what was that action? And could that action work against a superior athlete? So like if you're watching somebody in high school, right, and you don't know who either team is, and they're like, the guy is running away from someone on a breakaway touchdown, but they're like close enough. You're like, all right, if you move that up a level, that guy's probably getting hawked. Versus you watch a dude in high school run away from somebody and create 25 yards of separation before the clip's over. And you're like, all right, that guy could probably run away from some people who are higher level athletes. When you watch at like Ajani grab people and throw them in high school, you're like, that plays. I don't care how big or how like what size, like that dude manhandles people and in a really exciting way. There's a kid in the class of 26, Deron Parks, who's uncommitted right now, who reminds me very similar in the way he throws people around. That I hope Indiana would give a look to. But no, I really like Ajani. The dude just like he's throw people out the club
You're
type.
Throwing out names in the 2026 class. You're just deep in your O-line.
Dude, I love that. Dude, I can't escape it. Is
that the Cardinal Mooney guy you've been telling me about?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we recruit this, but it's okay. Back to Mendoza.
You do recruit the area. You get on it. I know Brian Haynes is watching. I know he is. I know.
They asked Fernando
go tell Shanahan what's up. Deron Parks.
They asked Mendoza what intrigued him most about the offense, and he was like, "It's really complicated, but it's not that complicated." So, you know, the scheme is intriguing. Like they do a lot of really interesting things. They also asked him when he first started diving into the playbook, and he said, you know, because Alberto had the playbook with him when they were home over winter break. He said after he committed over winter break, they dove into the playbook. But honestly, if I had to guess, he probably took a peek at it maybe a little before that, but that's pure speculation.
I can see why you would speculate that, you know. Just having a
All I
brother,
know
you just know, like, oh, that's you're just home for Thanksgiving. You're just like, oh, that's your playbook, huh? Like,
what you got of it? You guys running inside zone? What
how
you
many
doing
how
over
many
there?
yards does Rourke have, Alberto? Like, he finished what on the Heisman voting?
He
Like, I
was
don't know.
pulling it and looking at which guy?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
They
well,
asked him what it was like coming to a new team. He said he really enjoyed learning the guys and kind of getting to know people, and he's still getting to know people, obviously, naturally. And like in winter practice, like the position groups practice together. So and sometimes you know offense or defense works out, but the team doesn't work out together. So building those relationships across position groups and things like that also super important. They asked him about Chandler Whitmer. He said it's the best position coach he's ever been around. Called him special. Uh, Said he's just got like a ton of knowledge about the position. And then he said is even when because like we said before, and Sig noted in his presser, Chandler Whitmer is still learning the offense. Chandler Whitmer is still learning the system. So when he doesn't know something, he said he's very quick to get back to him, get an answer. And so like like we said, we talked about wanting to hear maybe directly from Coach Whitmer just a little bit more kind of about how his role is coming along, and so to get that from Fernando and get that type of endorsement, um, music to my ears.
yeah, I like that idea that he's not giving him wrong answers. He's not bullshitting the kid because there probably are coaches like that that don't want to seem like they don't know what they're doing, and then they'll probably make something up in the moment, maybe, or try to guess what the right answer is instead of just going to Mike Shanahan and getting the right answer for him. And just to make sure, because obviously that plays in any sort of collaborative work environment, whether that be sports or beyond, that stuff comes into play. And just being humble enough to, ask for help and ask for the right answer is very important. It goes a long way. So good to hear that, true, like a real story that, like, I find impactful, and just in terms of like the type of character that Chandler Whitmer is.
100%. Again, going back to D'Angelo Pons talking about Coach Ojong and saying like he's not a yes man and just not just like telling him
Mhm.
like the the coaches in this room aren't like afraid of the guys they recruit. They're not afraid of offending people. They're not afraid of like overcoaching. Like you come to Indiana with the understanding that we have a standard and this is the way the rooms are handled and this is how we do things. And just to continue to hear that we have like stand up individuals and like people doing the right things consistently at every level of this program is just like yeah, it's just like it's operating and being run at a high level, and these are the stories and the byproducts you hear and what happens when a program is operating at the level it is.
Yeah, they reinforce, once again, reinforcing what we already, probably guessed about it.
Yep. They asked Fernando if it was challenging learning a new offense, learning new stuff. He said no because he's literally had a new offensive coordinator for every year of his career, so it's just probably would have had to learn a new offense anyway. So but he also noted, you know, a lot of stuff in football, and anybody who's knows or been around the game, like kind of understands people run the same concepts. They just call them different things. And so it's really just understanding the terminology and a lot of like uh, tendencies and things like that versus like really trying to understand the game of football at this point for somebody like Fernando Mendoza.
I'm good.
Um,
I'm
I was
sorry.
gonna say,
On a podcast, I didn't say anything. That's on me, really.
no, I actually
That's
forgot this. I was gonna say I forgot this part when I just talking about Whitmer to finish up on Whitmer. He said he's got a great mind. He's a type A personality. Makes it really easy for a quarterback. He's very distinct, thorough answers, and like I said, very willing to ask questions. And he also Mendoza didn't specifically mention the word moxie, but he talked about a lot of things that in my head that's kind of what he was talking about. But he said just a lot of the non-physical things, the mental side of playing quarterback, the leadership of it. Um, that's something that Chandler Whitmer's helping him with out a lot too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Da, da,
I
da.
like we talked about Mendoza so much already before we even hopped into Mendoza, like the Mendoza part of the smoke, which is so funny. Yeah, I just want to see that guy play football. That's all I want to do. That's I don't.
I'll finish up Mendoza and we'll get to Coogan because I really enjoyed Coogan's presser. On the
Yeah,
wide receivers, he said they were fast, really good. And he said there's a lot of future NFL guys in that room. And he said he hopes to be the point guard, just get them the ball. They asked him about kind of his legendary prep. His Cal teammates talked a lot about um, how much film he watched, and Fernando then kind of tried to downplay it, but then talked about like watching film all week and like being in the it's like just like you can't hide from being that obsessed with the game. Uh, and so he said this prep builds confidence, and that's why he's just like so hungry to attack it. And then on Signetti, he said that's why he came to Indiana.
yeah. I mean, God, everything this guy says. I mean, I'm gonna talk about the receivers, like NFL guys. Probably talking about Surratt and Coop. Probably likes those guys a lot. I would imagine,
Well,
especially
he likes
considering
throwing it.
they worked on their speed in the offseason too. We talked about that, mentioned how they're fast. And I wouldn't necessarily like Surratt and Coop were great last year. I wouldn't like fast is probably the fifth word I would use to describe each of them. So yeah, good to hear that fast is really coming out of that room, despite Tyler Morris being out. He might have been talking about Timo a little bit. Timo. I can't with a nickname for a guy that's not even going to play next year. That's what a mess. What a mess.
Horrible.
Oh, brutal. What a missed opportunity. But yeah, I mean, and you got EJ there who's always had like that NFL upside. I don't know if he's going to play on Sundays, but he's always had that ceiling. And then there's Mackay, the Yak King himself. And then Charlie Becker, kind of the X factor. Love the room. Love the room. Davion Chandler, need to get on campus now. Skip prom.
Skip prom, he says. No, that guy's the king of Lawrence North. He has to go to prom.
I know. He's going to win, like, yeah. What do you call it? Prom king, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All the
Big,
kids,
nice.
are calling it these
There's actually, like I know we said Davion Chandler coming in the summer. Garrett Reese coming in the summer. There's obviously a couple more guys joining in the summer, but they're getting a nice injection of freshman talent. Another one in the summer as well.